We're back like we never left. So the next thing I want us to talk about is, okay, there's been a bit of ideology in our society today where some of us or some of our parents believe that children that are brought up by a single parent do not perform well in society. So I'm going to give you an instance, a very brief one. I have a friend whose elder sister was getting married. So when her in-laws, that is her from her husband's side, came in, her mother-in-law found out that her both parents were divorced. But you know how traditional marriage has to be now. Both parents has to sit for the traditional marriage. And then she looked at her son and be like, "Are you sure you want to go ahead with this marriage? Because as you can see, the mother could not stay in the marriage. How sure are we that the child will be able to stay in the marriage?" So I just wanted to speak to this briefly and look at, okay, this ideology. What do you have to say about it? Is it something that is true at to some certain level, or is it something that it's an ideology that needs to be worked on or removed totally?
It's sad because it's sad that this statement is still here. Because of course, growing up, there's always that question that, oh, children from single parent homes are, broken. And it gives this ideology that because a woman is raising a child on her own, and particularly a woman raising a child on her own, because it's almost a rare phenomenon, to have a father raising children or a child on his own. But there's always this phenomenon that, oh, if a woman raises children on her own, then children are broken. But that's not true, because there are ways that to ensure that children in situations, in single parenting situations, thrive and do very well as their counterparts in of course regular parenting homes. And a lot of how that can happen is to have healthy support systems. So take for example a man who's been widowed or a woman who's been widowed. They end up becoming single parents, whether however brief, whether they remarry or not. But in the time that they are not remarried, they end up becoming what? Single parents. But a widowed parent, what do? Right? They have in-laws who help with the children, right? They have parents, sisters, people who come in. And that's also what a single parent basically can take on. So irregardless of your of the condition in how you got to become a single parent, you must ensure a couple of things. One, find healthy support systems. Ensure that your children and yourself, you are surrounded by healthy support systems that can ensure that whatever it is that as it were is missing, can be filled in. Of course, we know the adage that it takes a village to raise a child, and so those are things to do. Another thing to do is to communicate age appropriately to the children in that situation, right? So the single parent must also take on a lot, must understand that a lot relies on him or her, and must communicate to the child consistently, with age appropriate conversation. So letting the child, for example, understand the hurt or why their parents, the other partner isn't here, and just finding ways to ensure that child, and continuously modeling emotional regulation. Now, if as a parent you are not whole, you can't give what you don't have, right? So when you communicate to your children that, oh, this is what's going on right now, of course, age appropriately, and they also see how you are. Children do not do what they are told. Children do what they see. So if the single parent isn't a refined person in terms of their emotional regulation, doesn't have core emotional intelligence, then of course it's going to rub off on the children being raised. But if the parent is able to control their emotions, they have emotional intelligence, they are self-aware. Of course, it's very easy to also transfer, because these are transferable skills. You are able to transfer them to the children that are being raised. And so I would always say that being a single parent is not a curse. Being a single parent is not a disease. Being a single parent is not a crime. How you single parent, however, shows the quality of human that you are and that you are raising.